Welcome, everyone, to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Hello, everyone, and this is Anita with the Better Love Movement podcast. I am back this week with a short episode because I'm actually still on vacation and I don't have any of my equipment with me, so I am just quickly recording this episode through my computer, but I did not want to miss a week's worth of episode, and this one was a requested one from a person through Instagram. She had DM'd me a question that she had on how to keep a man's interest long term. And so she has no problem attracting men. She is always attracting men, is always finding men are coming up to her or talking to her or taking her out. She struggles with keeping them interested long term. So that is the episode that we're going to do this week. It is episode number 89, and it is entitled Keeping a Man's Interest Long Term. So there is a two-part system that I use here that I want to talk to you about, ladies. And I really struggled with this. When I was younger, I really struggled with the balance between these two ways of being. I really struggled, and I see a lot of women still struggling with this, but this is something that I've learned how to master over the years, and I am still working on it. I am still perfecting this perfect balance of these two things that you're going to need to keep a man's interest long term. So, what are those two things? What do you need to keep a man who is interested in you, who you are dating, and maybe, you want to take it to that next level. You want to become exclusive, or you're already exclusive and committed, but you notice, him pulling away, or you notice him being less interested, not being as attentive. You just notice that things he's either taking you for granted, or just things are not the same as they were when you all first started dating. So, here it is. It is a really simple formula, but you are going to have to perfect it for yourself and with your man. So one of the things I notice about this formula is I've had to balance these two things in different levels with different men. So it really is not a one size fits all. You're going to have to tailor this to the man that you're with. So that requires that you pay attention. Like, you really have to be present and paying attention when you're going between these two ways of being, okay? So what are they? You want to know. All right. So number one, it is practicing warmth. Practicing being all warm and loving and accepting and being excited and playful when you see him. That is the one thing men absolutely adore. Like, they really get off on when they come around you and you seem happy to see them. You smile when you see them. You are smiling and laughing or playful. They really love that. And they want to believe that they had something to do with it. And that's okay, right? You could be in a great mood in general, like it might not have anything to do with them, but you can attribute it to them. You could just be in a great mood that day. Things could be going well, but go ahead and attribute it to his very presence. But men need to feel your warmth. They need to feel truly accepted by you in that moment. They need to feel that you're happy to be in their presence and that they have the ability to add to your happiness. So warmth, that is something that women really struggle with. They really struggle with this warmth and this playfulness and this, looking like they're actually happy to see the man that they're with. They really, really struggle with that. And I know I did too. I had a lot of things on my plate, or if I had a bad day at work, I would come home, that would be written all over my face. And instead of letting my man's presence, like, put me in a better state of mind or make me feel all good and all warm inside, I would keep that resting bee face on, or I would just, be in my feelings about whatever was going on. And just, for him to be around that, it didn't feel great. And it's one thing that if you're going through stuff, you're having a hard time with something, I'm not telling you that you have to appear to be, perfectly happy all the time. I'm definitely not saying that. I want you to be your authentic self, but I want you to seek solace in your man. So if I'm having a really bad day, or I am not feeling well, or just something isn't going great in my life, I see my man as solace. I see him as like, I'm the ship at sea and he's my shore. And so I may come up to him, fall on him, lay on him, hug him. Oh, it's been such a horrible day. Oh, it feels so good to be with you now. It feels so good to hug you and to kiss you. Oh, it feels so good to have your arms around me. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be in the mood you're in, but I want you to appreciate that you have a partner to express that to, and not be angry and frustrated and then be angry and frustrated with him or push him away. See him as the shore. You're the ship out to sea and he is the shoreline. And just fall into him, wrap your arms around him, let him wrap his arms around you. Tell him, yeah, it's been a horrible day, or this is happening. I feel so. Remember, we're going to say how we feel. I'm feeling so frustrated. I'm feeling so sad or lost or whatever it is you're feeling. And you're going to look to him to console you. So that warmth is super important, that you associate him with good feelings, that you feel good about him and about being with him, that you have an expectation that he wants to add to your happiness. Instead of the other way around, which is, oh, he's just one more pain in my behind. He's just one more thing for me to do. No, if that is how you view the man that you're with, you need to reevaluate. You need to take stock of your relationship. Because here is my motto. I tell the women in my coaching program, and they all know it. We do not engage with men unless they add benefit to our lives. They must add some positive value to our lives, or we just don't do it. Because why? Why would you? Why would you engage a man and everything about being with him makes you feel bad, is negative, is a drag, And remember, this is not about finances or financial. That is one of the things he may add value. That's perfectly fine. But I'm talking about just being a good person, providing support, being loving, providing, a back rub or kind words, a listening ear. You should get benefit from being with a man. And if you are not, I strongly suggest, then don't. Like, you need to wait until a man can come into your life and add value. Like, I'm not ever going to tell you to be with a man just to be with a man. I just don't believe in that. You must receive some value from being with this person. And honestly, that's all your friendships. That's your friendships. That's your man. I'm not going to engage people for friendship that being around them is a drag. All they do is talk down or negative. I'm just not. I'm going to prune those people out of my life because I want to feel good most of the time. And it's not to say people can't have bad days or if something happens. I'm talking most of the time. If most of the time when you're talking to your friends, they're talking down on men, or they're talking down on life, or they're negative, and they're not inspiring, no. I'd rather you be by yourself. At least you're in a neutral space when you are by yourself. You're not in a negative space. So, being warm, ladies, this is so important. Men are seeking us out for warmth. Okay? Yes, they may be seeking you out for sexual warmth, but they are also seeking you out for emotional warmth. And I want you to bring that warmth that the man, when he's out there in the world and he's working and struggling and doing everything that he's doing, he knows when he comes home, you're going to be happy to see him. And you're going to exude a certain amount of warmth with him. That makes all the difference. So what's the second thing you ask? The second thing is you are going to allow space. You're going to give a man space. And see how very different these two things are? But it is that balance between warmth and space. You're going to allow him to go out with his friends, and you're going to be happy that he's taking time to go out with his friends. You're going to allow him to go to the gym. You're going to allow him to do other things that he really enjoys doing. And you're not going to be pissy about it. And you're going to do things that you want to do while he's doing that. Or you're going to catch up on some work, or you're going to do some things around the house or whatever, or you're going to take a bubble bath. Whatever it is you do, you're going to do something totally different while he's out doing what he's doing. But having that space, men need this gap. They need this space to crave us and definitely to fall in love with us. It is so natural and normal that when you and a man have a lot of closeness, he's going to pull away. That is so natural and normal. I did not understand that for years. For years, I would freak out. I would go into chase mode. I would press even harder into a man when he would pull away. I did not understand that it was this space that he needed to bounce back. He needed to have that space between us. And what did I need to do? I needed to self-soothe. I needed to soothe myself through that process. I needed to have a life of my own. I needed to have goals and hobbies and interests and things and friends and other things that I was doing. But I didn't understand that for years. And I could not understand why the men I was in relationship with, they seemed so in love, they were crazy about me, and then they pulled away. Because little did I know that was natural and normal. It needed to happen. A man needs to pull away for so many reasons. One, he needs to bring his testosterone back up. So some of this is just chemical. It's biological. And then two, he needs to miss you. He needs to kind of idolize you in his mind. So when you're not there physically with him, you're not in front of him, he's not seeing who you really are like day to day. He needs to idolize you. He needs to have that nostalgic reference of you. And you've got to let that happen. And so that pulling away, as counterintuitive as it sounds, it's working in your favor. And you need to let that happen. You do not call. You do not text. You do not, go over there and seek him out. I'm guilty of all of this, showing up at the job, showing up at places that I know he's going to be at. It has the opposite effect. And so there is a delicate balance between these two. So here's how I like to do it. Now that I am a single woman, this is how I do it. When a man, so it's kind of like, so for men, it is absence makes the heart grow fonder. Okay, I want you to remember that. Absence makes the heart grow fonder for a man because he needs that space to really idolize you, to put you on that pedestal and to, that halo effect. He really needs that. But for women, it's like out of sight, out of mind. That's what I want you to remember on your end. Out of sight, out of mind. So when I am with a man who is interested in me or that I'm interested in, I am warm, I am loving, I am interested, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat listening, I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm playful, right? And the second he is not with me, he does not exist. That's what I say inside of my head. And I know this is a hard sell because I know what you ladies are thinking, that you are daydreaming about him and daydreaming about your wedding and daydreaming about your kids and writing your name with his name and talking about him to your girlfriends, and you're thinking about what he's doing. I mean, your mind is just going crazy. But I really want you to stay away from that. I really want you to have a life of your own. I want you to have an occasional thought, maybe of him. But other than that, you're too busy being you. You're too busy being amazing. You're too busy living your fabulous life and doing your hobbies and your interests and everything that you've got going on. You're busy living your life. And so out of sight, out of mind. That's kind of how I am. When a man is not with me, I'm not thinking about him. And only when he reaches out or he texts or he calls do I act like, oh my gosh, how are you? It feels so good to hear from you. What are you doing? I am gloriously receptive. But outside of that, I give him the space that he needs. I allow him to pull away. Now, here's the thing I'm going to tell you, though. This is the one caveat I'm going to give you. There are some men who want you to pursue them. They want to. So this is kind of like one of their little tests where they want to see what your level of interest really is, and they want you to pursue them. They want to feel like, okay, we went out, we had a great date, and, she was great. And so now I'm not going to call, I'm not going to text, and I'm going to see how long it takes for her to reach out to me. There are men that will do this. And so be mindful of this. I believe that, that can take days, some weeks. And I still want you to wait. I want you to lean into your life. And when he reaches out, I want you to be gloriously receptive, not mad, not pissed off that it took a week. Okay. And I guarantee you, chances are he's going to say, I haven't heard from you. How are you, stranger? What's up, stranger? How have you been? He's going to, in a passive aggressive way, bring up the fact that you did not call him. And to that, you've got a couple of options. One, you can ignore it. Sometimes I just ignore a man who says that. Hi, how are you doing? So it's been up. How's your week been? I just completely ignore the passive aggressive remark. Or you can acknowledge, yeah, I know. I wasn't sure. Clearly you were really busy with work or with school or your children, or, you were doing something really important. So the last thing I wanted to do is interrupt you while you were doing that. You're still going to stay in your feminine stance. That when he as a man has the time, or when he as a man is ready to talk, you are respectfully open and receptive. That you're not going to chase after him, and you're not going to call him and text him and try to talk to him when he is actually busy doing something. That would be incredibly disrespectful. And so, yes, are you interested? Of course you are. And yet, you know that he has a lot going on in his world and in his life, and you wanted to make sure that he had done everything he needed to do before he got back with you, that you didn't want to interrupt all of the important things that he was doing. But you are not going to chase him. And you're going to let him know with words. This is really, really important, because when men say, well, how, when she doesn't call me or text me, how do I know she's interested? Guess what? I want you to say that with words. I was wondering when I would hear from you. We had such a wonderful time last time, and I was really looking forward to talking again. So you're going to let him know that with words. You are not going to act in such a way that is chasing. You are going to maintain your position, which is being open and receptive. So ladies, use words to let a man know, yes, I had a wonderful time. I really like you. I was wondering when we would talk again. I was wondering when we could see each other again. See, I want you to be vulnerable enough to say that. But with actions, no. You are not going to chase after a man. You're simply going to tell him, yes, I find you incredibly interesting and incredibly charming and incredibly handsome. That's what you're going to say. But your actions will not speak over that. You will not run after him, call him, text him, show up where he is, write letters or whatever it is, emails or whatever it is you do. And you are going to sit back. You're going to allow him that space and allow him to bounce back, because that is the natural order of things. But this is the secret sauce. There are women doing this in long-term relationships, committed relationships, marriages. There are women who are married who continue to do this. They allow their husbands space to play golf, space to play tennis, or to go out with their friends, or to go fishing or hunting or whatever they do. And they do not bother them. They do not call them. They do not text them. They go about their business and they do what they're going to do. And the man bounces back. He comes back even harder. Oh, I missed you. Oh, I've been gone all day fishing with the guys. And you know what? I'm sick of them. I'm ready to come home and lay up under you. That's the response that you want. But it requires great patience. And it is something that I lacked dearly. I am still struggling with this. I'm struggling with developing patience, being on a man's timetable, being on God's timetable. I am truly, truly struggling with this. So y'all pray for me. But that's what it's going to take. See how this all comes back to you. These are things that you're going to develop in yourself. There's no magic or voodoo you're going to weave or do with the man. You're going to develop these skills in yourself. That's the key. There's nothing specifically you're going to do to make him do anything. You're going to develop skills within you because you have all the power. Please don't ever forget that. The power lies in you and what you do and don't do. But that's the key. Those two things, you've got to really pay attention to the man you're with to determine how much warmth, how much space. But those two things must be present. Warmth, warmth, warmth. Space, space, space. There are some men who need less space than others. Okay? And so you really have to pay attention to that. Like, okay, my man doesn't need days and weeks, and he doesn't need a whole lot of space. Just a day does us plenty good. And there are others that need more space. So you get to determine, like, if a man's need for space is longer than what is comfortable to you or longer than what you like, now it's up to you to determine if you all are a good fit, right? And that is your power. That's up to you. You get to decide. This man needs too much space. It's just too much for me. Now, remember, we're going to give him space, but let's say his space is a week and you all are exclusively dating, or his space is 2 weeks. If that's too long to go without talking to each other, going on dates, coming over to each other's houses and spending time together, hey, that person isn't your person. That's not your best fit. And for me, a person whose love language is quality time, yes, that wouldn't work for me. A man who told me from the beginning, I like to hang out with the person I'm dating maybe once a week, once every other week, that just wouldn't work for me. So to me, you've made my job that much easier. Wow, well, that doesn't work for me. I mean, yes, I'm busy and I have a lot going on, but I kind of like to fold my partner into my life and I like to be folded into theirs. So while I don't ask that we see each other every day, I do like to, see my partner 2 or 3 times a week. And sometimes it's more casual and sometimes it's more formal, like a date. And then sometimes it's casual, like, yeah, stop by after work, have dinner and watch a little TV and then go home. Sometimes it's very casual, but I like that. That's what I need, is to have more contact with the person that I'm dating. So if in the process of giving space, I find that the person I'm dating needs far more space than I'm willing to give, far more space that makes me comfortable, that could actually help meet my needs, then that's my answer. We're just not a good fit for each other. And believe you me, you want to find this out on the front end. You really want to find this out in the first 3 to 6 months. Don't go any further if that person can spend weeks and weeks or days and days without talking to you. I want you to be honest with yourself and say, that doesn't work for me. I need more communication than that. So I, as an over communicator, I need to talk with my person every day on the phone, not via text. I need to see my person 2 or 3 times a week. And one of those times may be a formal, going out together. And then the other 2 times may be very informal. But 2 to 3 times a week, talking every day. See, I know myself. And I move from that authentic space. This is what I need. This is what I can provide to a person. Now, I can provide space. I can provide space to that person. Or if I know ahead of time, he's like, oh, I'm going on a guy's trip and we'll be gone for 5 days. Okay. And for 5 days, I will not reach out. I will not call or text. Now, I'll be honest with you, ladies. Every time that a man has gone away for that long, they always wind up calling or texting me or asking me what I'm doing, FaceTiming me. I've never not been in a relationship and 5 whole days have gone by and the man has not done that. But if he did, now I need to assess, wow, this is, that's not okay. That's a little more space than I like to have. I don't like to go 5 days without talking to my partner. So empower yourselves. This is about you. You are the solution. Okay. So really ask yourself in this equation of warmth versus space, you've got to make some determinations. You've got to determine what type of warmth you're going to provide. You have to provide some type of warmth, and for every woman it looks different, but you're going to provide some type of warmth to the man, something for him to look forward to, something to feel good about. And for me, that warmth is my smile and laughing and joking and my cooking and my back rubs. That's my warmth to a man. That makes a man feel all good. But then you have to determine how much space and how much space a man can take that feels comfortable to you. Because anything outside of your comfort level, now you need to reassess the relationship. We do not ask people to change. We do not try to make people change. I mean, you can suggest and inspire a person, to say, hey, do you think you're able to do that? Sure, you could. I have said, I really need to have, daily communication. Do you think that's something you can do? And the man either says yes or no. And then we have to see what he actually does. Does he actually do that or not? But really, after that, I don't make a person do anything. I just say, we're just not the best fit for each other. This doesn't work for me. And, I asked you very pointedly, if this is something you can do, and you said yes, but it hasn't happened. So my guess is this is probably something you don't want to do. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not here to make you change. I'm not here to make it all about me, but I am here to find the best fit for me because I must find the best fit for me. I must prioritize my needs right now as a single woman. I cannot, bend and twist myself to what someone else wants me to be. I have to take accountability for me. And so, yes, you get to make that determination. This doesn't work for you. But for every man, it's different. Now, I was married to a man who didn't need a lot of space. Like, he didn't need a lot of space. We spent a lot of time together. Outside of him working, we spent a lot of time together. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he worked a lot. So maybe that was him working and taking his space. And maybe that's why outside of work, he really didn't need a lot of space. And then I've dated other men that needed more space. They needed more space. They had a lot of friends or hobbies or interests. They had a lot of things that they were doing, and they took that space. But that space issue, it's a slippery slope, because it's one of the reasons why I don't do long distance relationships. I just don't. That does not work for me. That does not meet my basic love language, and it does not meet my needs as a woman. So now that I know myself very well, see, I don't even bother. And I meet men all over the country, but I don't bother because I know I'm going to be unfulfilled in a situation like that. So I just don't even go there. But that's for you to determine. But the two things you're going to need to really keep a man's interest long term is warmth. He needs to equate you with warmth, with just this good feeling when he sees you, and feeling like he can win with you, feeling like he's an asset to you. You're happy to see him. And then on the flip side, space. Giving him that space that he needs to go off in the world, fulfill his purpose as a man, do things that he enjoys doing with other guys or his children or what have you. He needs that space. And if you find that that space that he takes is too much or too long for you, you need to assess. Instead of going on this crusade to try to change that about him, you just need to sit back and go, you know what? I don't know if we're the best fit for each other. The amount of space that you need, it just doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't work for me. And so maybe there's someone else out there that can take space, but not so much space. So those two things that's the secret sauce of keeping your man's interest long-term, keeping things interesting, just not quite feeling like a man has figured you out totally. So if I could add anything to that, I would add a little mystery. I think a lot of women get comfortable in relationships and they let go of the mystery of who they are. They tell too much, they talk too much, they show too much. And so reel it in a little, like dole it out in small bite-sized chunks, okay? But that too will help you tremendously, is, keep the mystery going. He doesn't need to know everything about everything, okay? That's what your girlfriends are for. That's what your sisters and your mothers and your grandmothers are for, okay? You don't need to tell him everything. I've been guilty of this too. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. I will apologize right now for the quality of this episode. I'm going to do my best to try to get out some of the sounds that are going on around me right now. I am, the house I'm renting is on the marina, and it's on a main thoroughfare, and there have been all kind of trucks and boats and everything going by. So I'm going to apologize now for the sound quality, but hopefully you were able to get the meat of this episode, okay, which is how to keep a man's interest long term. So you're going to need a little warmth and you're going to need a little space. And how much of each will greatly depend on the man that you're dealing with. So I hope today's episode was helpful. And as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's Magnifi, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat.